You're born ready for what exactly?
This podcast.
Hey, it's episode 7.
It is. It's episode 7.
Hey, welcome to This Week in the 90s. Chris Brockman.
I'm Sarah Tiana.
What's happening?
Oh, football is happening.
Yeah, so before we get into this week's show, I wanted to ask you, we're taping this on Monday, how was your first week 1 of the 2020 season? How'd it go for you?
It was very stressful and exhausting, because on top of just having an infant that I have to watch, having all these other games to watch, it was very, I felt like my eyes were exhausted at the end of the day.
Normally the most stressful thing on a Sunday is like, how's your fantasy team doing? How are my bets? I'm trying to watch all the games.
Why did I bet on the Jets?
Well, there's your first problem. If you're betting on the Jets, 1-800-GAMBLER for all your gambling degenerate needs. You're just trying to monitor, do I flip back in red zone? Do I watch my team? Or do I go back and forth? It's a commercial. Let me try to beat the snap here.
I think we've discussed how we're going to amend that. We're going to buy another television.
Yeah, so I think we have the one big one in the living room, and then we kind of watch red zone on the computer. Sometimes we'll go split screen if our teams are playing at the same time. Falcons, Patriots. But I think, screw it. Life's too short to not have multiple TVs during the football season.
Yeah. But it's not just that it's just football season, it's that there's also baseball on, there's hockey on, there's basketball on, golf's going to be going next weekend. It's
right.
There's too much going on.
No, there's too much going on. Normally there aren't major golf championships in the fall. Normally there's not NBA playoffs, conference finals in September. Big horse races. Hockey playoffs are going. There's just too much happening.
Too much.
Normally baseball's happening, but your team's at least usually out of it by now.
That's not true. My team has been in it. Your team has been out of it.
My team had one of the greatest seasons ever 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And now we stink. But, your team, how do you feel after 1 week about your Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah. I actually don't feel as bad as I did. First of all, I think the Seahawks might be one of the best teams in the league.
I think you're right.
I think we stopped them. We stopped them quite a few times. We just gave them great field position by going for it on 4th down. So we were being a little risky.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like a preseason game, and I felt like there's not a time, with no preseason, there really isn't a time to kick the dust off. So even with all these teams, I'm ragging on Tom Brady, I'm ragging on Drew Brees because they're in my division now.
Yeah.
And our division is just full of these old 40-year-olds, but
goats though.
Great.
Yeah.
It's such
all
a good
timers,
division.
Yeah.
So I just feel like this season is going to be really good. I felt like the Bucs didn't look that great.
Nope.
I didn't think the Saints looked that great.
Nope.
Obviously the Panthers don't look that great. I think it's going to be a good division this year. And I think I thought all of the defenses, I thought the Bucs defense, the Saints defense, and the Falcons defense looked really good.
Yeah.
And I think the Falcons can put up a lot of scores because our offensive weapons were off the chart. Gurley was better than I thought. Gage was better than I thought. I'm pretty excited about them.
Yeah. You think playoff or is that going to be tough?
I'm always rooting for the playoffs, and I'm hoping for the playoffs. Do I think we're good enough? Yes. I think our offensive line has to get stronger and work harder and not miss blocks.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple times when, if they don't miss a block, Gurley's wide open.
Right.
If that's, automatic. If we can play like we played in our 2-minute drill, we do the whole game, you know what I mean? We miss a field goal, we got to, we're going for it on 4th down. Then, he fumbles. We get the 4th down, but he fumbles, you know what I mean? So it's I think you got to kick the dust off. If we lose the next game, I might be a little bit more worried.
What's super exciting too is 7th playoff team this year. So it goes from 12 to 14 total playoff teams, 3 wild cards instead of 2 in each conference. That's very exciting. How did you feel? Who looked great to you? Who stood out? I mean, obviously you saw a lot of Russell Wilson yesterday. He looked like an MVP.
No, I think Jamal Adams is out of his mind good.
Yeah.
I felt like he was making every play. I'm how are you on every side of the field?
Right.
You mean just with the Seahawks?
I just mean overall, throughout watching Red Zone and watching some of the games yesterday, who stood out for you?
Oh, well, I have David Johnson, so he really stood out on Thursday night with Houston. I think he's going to be a big playmaker. Obviously, I think Kyler Murray is insanely good. if he doesn't run out of bounds, like he's just like getting touchdowns left and right.
So
like
fast.
Nobody could tackle him. So he was really fun. Plus him connecting with DeAndre Hopkins was really fun. I think Aaron Rodgers, like I said,
pissed off Aaron Rodgers.
Pissed off Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, dangerous.
But again, they started out slow. You know what I mean? Like they had to really everybody was kicking the dust off. I think Lamar Jackson looked great
Pretty
again.
Good. Yeah, just like last year.
The Washington football team.
Almost did.
That's red.
Burgundy and gold.
Yeah, I think they look good. I mean, there's a lot of teams that looked really. It felt a little bit more. I felt like Arizona was the only new team in there that I felt like, oh wow, they're going to be interesting.
What about not having preseason? Do you think that? Do you like it? Did you not like it?
That's why I felt like this game for everybody was a preseason game. So I feel like it's kind of hard to judge on the first game when you haven't played fast, you're winded,
hit anybody else.
Didn't hit anybody, you know, you've been quarantined, you've been away from family. That's why seeing people get injured was even worse because I'm like, the amount of effort that went into you being there this season.
Making it, It's been a long off season.
What about you?
It was funny, we talked to Matt Nagy, Bears head coach, and Mike Mayock, Raiders general manager today, and you know, Rich asked him the same question, like, do you think this is going to lead till no preseason? What would you vote on that? And it's funny, both guys immediately said, no, I'm not in favor of that. At the bare minimum, we need 2 games.
Yeah.
So I don't think preseason is going to go away altogether because I don't think the coaches will allow it, and I don't think the owners would allow it because, you know, it's a cheap way to make some money.
It's also a rehearsal.
And it's also, you know, a chance for guys to make teams, like you said, shake the rust off and kind of just get the juices flowing. You can't just jump out there and go gung-ho week 1.
No.
I think that's a little tough to pull off in the NFL.
You not rehearse for anything.
Right. You could do it in college. I know college doesn't have any preseason games, but
they have scrimmages though, and they have
a lot of teams play cupcakes week 1, and so all your big schools are playing some crap-ass teams week 1, and so that's their chance to kind of shake it off and have their version of preseason. I thought it was awesome. Just where we were at the end of the Super Bowl and this whole pandemic and just
wearing a Super Bowl shirt
and
you
like
bought me.
Wondering, it was a great time. That was a great week. That was the last normal week I think we've had. But you know, just wondering if we were actually going to have football and what it was going to look like. And you know, aside from no fans and the weird pumped-in crowd noise that the TV broadcast used, kind of looked like football. It was awesome to just sit around and kick back and watch the games. It felt normal. There were no positive tests. We'll see what happens at the end of this week, if anything comes from the 2 teams mashing up together. But leading into it, no teams had a positive test, and it was it felt like a normal Sunday in pick a year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you and I were disappointed because we would have been at that Rams game yesterday.
Right, that was the only kind of bummer. We are Rams season ticket holders, and they opened up the new stadium, which looked absolutely incredible on television last night, but we would have been there. I would have talked you into jumping into the 6-acre lake that they built in Inglewood, but it would have been a great time.
Hold the baby. I'll go.
I'm jumping in.
I'm jumping in.
But other than that, I mean, it felt super normal, and I think that's a good feeling because nothing's really felt normal since March.
But here's the thing about football is like it's kind of more fun to watch on TV. You can just see more.
Yeah.
I like hearing the players curse at each other and yell at each other, and I mean it's mostly close up of the players anyway. What you're not getting are cutaways of the fans. I guess you're not technically hearing it, but it didn't feel like. It felt very similar to me. It didn't feel so different to me. And a lot of that is we're switching back and forth. We're watching Red Zone, so I'm mostly listening to Siciliano on Sundays than I am the fans, you know, in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I thought the funniest thing that came out, all the post-game quotes, the funniest thing is that, first off, the post-game Zooms that all the players and coaches are doing, that's super weird. Yeah. But somebody asked Bill Belichick, you know, of all his years in football, if he could compare what it was like not having fans or any of that, and Bill just goes, practice. Like the game felt like a practice to him just because of the atmosphere and everything that kind of went into it. So I think that was weird. I got to imagine for the players and the coaches, like that's different.
I think the saddest thing that I saw was like cutaways of the practice squad sitting in the stands.
Like Josh Rosen?
Yeah, just sitting there with a mask on, distanced apart, with clipboards, just watching
Just
a game
like-
that they wish they were playing. And Josh Rosen deserves to be playing.
deserves to be
He's such a
playing
good
so
quarterback. Like, he shouldn't be in the,
poor
like,
guy.
the fact that Jameis Winston is standing on a sideline and Josh Rosen is sitting in
know.
the stands is the most obnoxious thing I've ever seen.
Circumstance. So such bad luck.
The fact that Trubisky is starting, I know he made
Had a
a
huge
comeback.
comeback.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's also preseason, week 1.
I know.
It's not. We'll see.
I know. All right, just excited football's back, so just wanted to get your thoughts on a great NFL Sunday. We're back. Okay, episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
You did September 6th to the 12th, 1990.
You were gonna ask that. I don't remember.
No, I remember exactly what you did because you did 1990, and you know what's funny? I'm also going to do 1990. The following week,
How dare you?
I'm gonna steal your thunder. And you know what I'm gonna steal your thunder? This is how I'm gonna steal your thunder. Bum bum. What's your favorite show?
Law and Order.
Your favorite show is Law and Order. September 13th.
That's not how it goes, though. Bum bum.
Bum bum. That's it. Bum bum.
That's not how.
What is it?
Dum dum.
It's what's the difference between
Bum
what
bum.
you did and what I
No,
did?
bum bum is like not emotional.
Bum bum.
Dum dum.
Oh gosh. September 13th, 1990, your favorite show of all time, Law and Order debuted.
No way.
Can you believe it?
Wow, no, I cannot. 1990.
Yeah, so Law and Order ran for 20 years. It premiered September 13th, 1990.
The original Law and
The
Order.
I'm talking about the
Oh, yeah,
OG,
which I've
the
watched.
OG GOAT Law and Order.
I'm trying to think if I've seen the pilot. See, I've seen the pilot for D'Onofrio's season, Criminal Intent.
Okay.
And I think I've seen the SVU pilot. I can't remember if I've seen the Law and Order pilot.
Ran all the way till May 24th, 2010. 456 episodes produced
See,
and aired. NBC's longest running crime drama, tied for the longest running primetime scripted drama with Gunsmoke.
oh wow, I would not have gotten up.
Yeah,
MASH.
here's some background on Law and Order. So Dick Wolf,
Dick
of course, the
One
absolute
of my regular customers at the Four Seasons when
Really?
I used to work there before I even watched Law and Order.
couldn't even tell you what Dick Wolf looks like. Just
Oh.
has a great name, Dick Wolf. It
Great
sounds like
name.
a made up. It actually sounds like a made up crime drama name, like District Attorney Dick Wolf.
Yeah, he's a big dude,
Big dude, huh?
tall dude,
Oh,
husky.
thick, 2 C's.
You know, like a haggard. Definitely looks like an attorney that you wouldn't want to face. Like someone that's maybe done hard time but wears a suit.
Like stubble, like pack a day, like whiskey voice, like
No, but just like, you know, like
rough looking, like
yeah,
he's seen some
skin,
shit.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Like a catcher's mitt face. Yeah.
And he had this new young wife
Yeah, of course he did.
who was pregnant. They were like living there because they were remodeling their house, so I would see him like every day.
He's Dick Wolf. Oh, okay, here we go. I'm looking at him right now. I'd never seen what he looked like. Couldn't even pick him
Let me
out.
see the picture that they're
It's just whatever's on.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
he looks like one of Nixon's cronies. You know what I mean?
Like he broke into the Watergate Hotel.
Yeah, like he's like, I know how to pick locks. You know, like yeah. I mean, he's a genius, and
Genius.
probably I wonder
Went
if
to the
he's
University
worth
of
more.
Pennsylvania, Ivy League.
Do you think he's worth more than any other producer? I mean, because when Law and Order started, residuals were still good.
Yeah.
So
And then you got 5 spin-offs. I would say him and probably Chuck Lorre are neck and neck, depending on what celebrity net worth site you look at. He's anywhere from $300 to $600 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least. Yeah, it's got to be in the hundreds of millions.
Yeah, and Chuck Lorre, he's got Big Bang and 2.5 Men.
Current sitcoms. He's got a lot, whereas Dick
he's
Wolf
got-
had 5 spin-offs of the biggest show ever.
So Chuck Lorre is, it says 800 here. So I mean, those two guys are the goats for TV.
Yeah.
For TV net worth and just what they put together. But so
sorry, go
Dick
ahead.
Wolf, no, all good. Dick Wolf in 1988 developed this concept for the show. He wanted a series that would depict an optimistic picture of the American criminal justice system.
In New York City.
So he originally toyed with the idea of calling it Night and Day
Oh, interesting.
and settled upon the Law and Order. With the first half of each episode would follow 2 detectives and their commanding officer as they investigate a crime, and then the second half would focus on the district attorney and the lawyers and all that stuff, and wrapping it up. So initially, Fox ordered this show.
Whoa.
It was going to be on Fox, 13 episodes just on the concept, no pilot or anything. They just bought the show. But the network head back then balked and reversed his decision. Although he loved the idea, this guy Barry Diller said he didn't believe it was a Fox show.
Definitely not. It's an NBC show.
Yeah, it's an NBC show. Then Dick Wolf went to CBS, which ordered a pilot. It was called Everybody's Favorite Bagman, which is written by Wolf about corrupt city officials involved with the mob. That was the pilot. CBS liked it, but did not order because there were no breakout stars in the pilot. It then went to NBC, and the rest, as they say, is history. The success of Law & Order. 5 spin-offs: SVU, Special Victims Unit, Law & Order Criminal Intent, Law & Order Trial by Jury, Law & Order Los Angeles, and Law & Order True Crime, as well as a TV movie, Exile, the Law & Order movie. So crazy.
I only watched Criminal Intent, SVU, and the original Law & Order. And, like, who was in the pilot of the original Law & Order? Was it,
Okay, so I had this. Hold on.
Because when we were just watching Homeland, the guy that played the president, the female president's, like, assistant, remember?
Yeah.
He was big Law & Order guy. I forget his name, but...
Yeah, so the pilot starred Max Greevey. By George DeZunda. And Chris Noth was in it. He was in the original pilot.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Because he came in late in another episode, he might have come in again. He might have left and then come back.
Yeah, so he left and came back. So he did the first 5 seasons as like a detective,
and then came back to Criminal Intent because then D'Onofrio was there, and then Noth was, and then Jeff Goldblum took over after D'Onofrio.
Yeah, so Stephen Hill played the district attorney. He was there for the first 9 years. Michael Moriarty was on for the first 4 years. Jerry Orbach, who's most known with that show, he came in at the start of season 3 and went all the way to season 14.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Sam Waterston, he didn't join until season 5, and then went all the way to the end.
Man.
But it's crazy, the list of people who, just some of the cast, like Paul Sorvino was on in the beginning, and of course Joe Hennessy, Benjamin Bratt, Angie Harmon, Dennis Farina was on, Anthony Anderson was on at the end. But you watch an episode of Law & Order and you're like, oh, there's so-and-so. Like every major big TV star, movie star.
Oh, every time I watch it, I'm like, oh,
cut their chops.
Kristen Bell.
Yeah, they did an episode or 2 of Law & Order coming up. Now, it's your favorite show. I just want to get into like the how and the why. Do you remember the first time you saw it? What did you like about it? Why and how did it stay your favorite show after all these years?
I forget what I was watching. It was definitely because I was watching Oh, you know why? Because it was like right around the time that I started becoming friends with Nick, with Dolph Ziggler, who was a wrestler. And so I would watch his wrestling on USA.
Right. And
after wrestling was over, Law & Order was on. Law & Order lives on USA Network, right? And so I just started watching more and more, and that was usually SVU. And then every once in a while they would play, it was like constant marathons. And so it just became this thing that I would just have on during the day instead of watching a movie or just some like random show, or once I was done with Netflix, and then I would be on the road and it was like, I wouldn't have Netflix or whatever to watch, and so I'm like, oh, they have USA, Law & Order's on. And I would always fall asleep to it because I knew they were going to solve the crime. So I didn't have any, I didn't have any fear. It didn't make me scared or anything like that. Now I can't watch it anymore because I have a child and I'm terrified of everything.
Right.
But when you're single and you're just like, it like empowers you, it makes you feel stronger. It made me ask lots more questions when I was like alone. I was like, oh, that's a very good question. It made me feel observant and more skeptical of people. And I think that is very healthy when you're a woman living alone. And so, And then, it was also just so fun. I mean, watching Ice-T and SVU, he was my favorite character because whenever something smelled bad, tasted gross, or looked funny, that was when Ice-T had a line. Like, oh shit, that's rancid. It was always his line, to give you the sense of like what the scene smelled like or looked like or felt like. He was.
Yeah, so repeat started after the 95-96 season, so it only took 6 years for it to like smack dab into syndication. It was on A&E back in the day, in the beginning, and they're kind of credited with giving a new audience to Law and Order. Like, people would see it, oh, we should tune in, what's the show on, oh, it's on NBC, they go over there. And then in 2002, it ran for 6 years on A&E. A&E did not renew because it was 4 times the original price.
Yep, I believe that.
To keep the syndication because it was just out of this world, popular and crazy expensive. And then, like you said, it went to USA, and now it's on Sundance, TNT, WGN, WeTV, Bounce. It's on everything, and now you can stream on
our DVR.
On Peacock.
Oh, good.
On the Peacock app. Download the Peacock app.
Well, you also, D'Onofrio came into your studio, and I ordered the Law and Order Criminal Intent pilot, and you had him sign it for me.
And I had him sign it for you.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh man, look at this thing. I'm like...
D'Onofrio, who played Thor in Adventures in Babysitting,
D'Onofrio got his break as in Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, right. Yeah.
As Gomer Pyle.
Like, a lot of people don't like the Criminal Intent.
Yes, I want to ask you, like, which one do you like the most?
That's the one I
like
I
assume that you've seen all 5 different versions.
SVU is great, but it is, like, a little too much. Like, as a woman, like, it's hard to see that much crime against women happen.
A lot of, like, rapes and...
A lot of rapes,
assaults and all
molestations
that
with kids.
Yeah, that's rough.
Like, it's a little too much.
Can't do that.
Criminal Intent is usually... finding some sort of serial killer or like a killer. D'Onofrio would always find the killer because he's like, oh, do you smell that? That's jasmine. It's a tea. He would find the weirdest way of solving the crime. But he always had like these alternative methods of solving the crime, and he would like use every sense available. Whether it was like he knew like, oh, that's calligraphy. That's from the 1800s. That's from a Japanese sensei. And you're like, what? How does he know this? And it was just like so interesting to me that he was just so smart.
Right.
Whereas like SVU is like obviously about like
SVU
Benson
is Ice-T.
That's Ice-T. Okay. That's Olivia Benson. That's Stabler. Like that. Like Elliot Stabler. Like that. They are the lead detectives in that. Okay. And Richard. I always forget, but. That guy's last name, but he's a Comedy Store guy.
Richard Belzer.
Yeah. R.I.P. But he was in it too, and he was always great. And so I just tended to like Criminal Intent because it was less about sexual crime,
right,
and more about like bizarre crimes.
Okay.
So it felt like it was not going to happen to me.
Right.
What happened to these people?
Sure.
Like a gambler would die and he would know something about cards,
Of course. This make of cards from the 1860s.
Yeah. He was just like this wise guy.
Okay, so he's your favorite character.
He's my favorite character.
Okay, I was gonna ask you if you wanted to power rank throughout all the different shows, because. What?
I would say him. I would say.
Goldblum was on. Chris Noth, right?
Chris Noth is pretty great. Orbach was great. I mean, I think Sam Larson was probably my second favorite. Okay. He might be my second favorite because he was a lawyer, but then I think he eventually became the DA. And, just a man of the people. Always, anytime a man stands up for women and their rights, it was like, I think Law and Order also started, they followed, they remained topical. That was the other thing. SVU does a really good job of ripping things from the headlines.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Dick Wolf wanted to do. That was
they were based on true stories. Right. And so, but I remember Gaffigan was in, I think it was an SVU one, and he played like the father of like 6 kids. And they were a reality show, and then nice. It turns out like they wasn't really a family man, you know what I mean, and like got caught.
Right, that's funny.
He's been in a few playing different things. One other time he owned his family owned like a funeral home or something, and they were like illegally burying bodies, stuff like that.
Fallen.
Like sometimes it ends and you're like, was that a crime? Or were they just a bad person?
Seems like he's just kind of a weirdo and like,
But it did make me a little bit more savvy as to like when things were illegal and when they were not.
In your own life, kind of?
Yeah, I think so. And just like a little bit more well aware of like, that's not right. That's not, like, I don't know anything about the legal system or law or anything like that.
No.
You know, I read Twitter and there sure are a lot of lawyers and doctors on there.
Right.
So, I think it just was like a good way to just, it felt like you were staying current even though you weren't really current, but it made me question things. And when someone would talk to me in a way, I'd be like, that's not right. Because Olivia Benson told another girl that nobody should talk to her like that, and they sued his ass and they won on the TV show. So I think it like helped me maybe like made me feel like a stronger woman and a stronger comic and a stronger person, especially when I lived alone and I was like a little bit more afraid. And you would think that shows like that would make you more scared that something was going to happen.
Of course.
But it didn't, because they always took care of it, and it made me feel.
So the fact that each episode kind of wrapped up in a bow at the end, that was like.
It didn't always wrap up in a bow. Like they weren't always, the criminal didn't always get put in prison. The criminal didn't always go to jail. You know what I mean? But like.
Yeah, I've only ever watched. Like,
it made me. I was always satisfied at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. So, you've never seen an episode?
No, I mean I've never seen like on my own. Like, I'm gonna watch Law and Order. It's always like. It would be on when I would come home and you're watching it.
There's like 18 episodes on the DVR. You're more than welcome to watch.
I know. We have all different ones recording at the same time. Law and Order is like a Beatles song. It's just playing at any given time of the day.
Yeah.
On our DVD.
But it's also one of those things that I felt like could be on, but I didn't have to be watching. Like Family Feud. You know what I mean? Like.
So do you feel like you could just catch up, like turn
I could half listen.
Yeah, you could turn it on in the middle of an episode though, and you'd be like, oh, okay, this, and this. Are you confident that you've seen every one?
I don't think I've seen every one of the original ones, but I think I've seen all of them. I mean, I definitely haven't seen a few of the spin-offs because they're not in syndication.
Got it.
The Law and Order New York or whatever you said Trial and Jury, like that's not.
Trial and Jury. I don't think that went last.
True Crime was not
Same
one.
Same thing with like Los Angeles.
There's only 3 that to me are in. There's only 3.
Yeah, it's SVU, Criminal Intent, the original.
Yeah.
Kind of the big one.
I think I've seen every episode of SVU and Criminal Intent, but I don't know about the original one.
And then of course Dick Wolf does all the Chicago shows now. It's like Chicago Fire and the Hospital and all those. Yeah. Okay, that's fun. September 13th, 1990, Law and Order debuts.
The unluckiest day was the luckiest day ever.
For you, at least.
Yeah, and Dick Wolf.
And Dick Wolf. Okay, also on September 13th, I thought this was kind of cool. Roald Dahl was born.
Oh, interesting.
Roald Dahl was born September 13th in England. He's, of course, the famous British author of all these great children's stories, James and the Giant Peach, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Danny the Champion of the World, George's Marvelous Medicine, the BFG, The Witches, and Matilda is what he's
oh wow,
he's
I didn't realize he did all of those.
Yeah, so what do you remember about reading those books growing up? And did you enjoy them? Did you not? Were you indifferent or?
Actually, I don't think I really read. I think I definitely read like Matilda. What were the other ones? James and the Giant Peach.
Matilda, James and the Giant Peach, BFG, which was just a recent movie in recent years.
I didn't read that.
You know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Probably the most famous.
I don't know if I read those books. I saw the movies.
Okay.
When I was growing up, I read The Berenstain Bears was like my favorite book when I was little.
Yeah, same.
And then I got into The Babysitter's Club.
Oh, okay.
And
all those Matt
like Where the Red Fern Grows was like another favorite book of mine. And then once I got to high school, I had to read like had summer reading, and I don't think I retained any of that knowledge because I hated it so much.
Yeah.
I was so mad about having to read in the summer that I
As opposed to doing
didn't
what?
have any pleasure in it, therefore I didn't retain it.
Instead of reading, what were you doing instead?
Well, I was reading, but all I really wanted to do was just like watch TV and read The Babysitter's Club or like
hang out at the
watch
pool.
movies. We had a pool.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do anything like that.
Yeah, of course.
You know, that didn't sound fun. I worked so hard during the school year. I didn't feel like I should have to work hard in the summer. I felt like I needed a vacation. And so,
yeah, I kind of feel the same way about that.
But I definitely saw a lot of those movies. I don't think did you read any of those books?
I remember vaguely reading them in the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, something like that.
Did you get a bucket? Did you get a pizza?
Oh, I better have got a pizza. Call back. Yeah, I better have. I definitely.
What's your favorite out of all of those?
I think just because of the movie, it's got to be Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But the movie is Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, right? Which is the movie?
I think it was called Charlie and the Chocolate,
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
But the movie was called. I don't know. Was it called Willy Wonka?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, okay, yeah, it was. Yeah, the movie got produced as Willy Wonka.
Did you see, by the way,
it was based on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
That the Jelly Belly guy is doing that?
He's doing what? A movie about Jelly Bellies?
No, he's giving away one of his factories.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's going to be a nationwide treasure hunt.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you have to pay $50 for a clue.
Okay.
And if you find it, you win $5,000 and a chance to win the factory.
So this is just going to be rigged for like rich people? It's like
rich people.
I don't know. Pay $50 for a clue, then you have to go find it somewhere.
Yeah, there's one per state.
Oh, okay, one per state.
Yeah, one per state, and then.
So what's the best way to win this? You like buy the Delaware one and just go to the smallest state because there's less.
That's very smart. I would never
Vermont,
give it.
Hampshire, Rhode Island, Delaware, and you just try to find it.
Maybe New Jersey because they'd be too dumb to even hear about it. No offense, New Jersey.
Florida, because it's all old people.
Who love candy. I don't know, South Florida. They love their treasure hunt, and everybody's got one of those, like, deet, deet, deet. What are those things?
Oh, yeah. A metal detector? A what?
A deet, deet, deet.
My grandfather, big into metal detector.
Yeah. He's got a great collection.
So, Roald Dahl had a super, kind of crazy life. He was, like, in the Air Force and, like, fought in World War II and was a diplomat and all this stuff. And then he kind of got into writing. The first children.
How do you just get into writing?
He always wrote, and then finally started publishing. And his first children's book was actually called The Gremlins, which was published in 1943 about mischievous. I can't say that word. Mischievous little creatures that were part of the Royal Air Force folklore. So it's like we kind of say it all the time at the studio. Oh man, there's all these gremlins back here causing bugs and things, and the pilots blamed gremlins for all the problems with the aircraft. And so this is what he wrote his first short story about. And while he was in the British Embassy in Washington, he sent a copy of this to First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, who read it to her grandchildren. And the book was then commissioned by Walt Disney for a movie that never got made.
No.
However, in 1984, Gremlins, which Steven Spielberg movie, blah, 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 it's loosely based on these Roald Dahl characters.
Wow.
Featuring evil and destructive
Did
monsters.
he get any compensation for that? Or his family?
Good
Would
question.
he have been alive by
I
then?
don't know. Yeah, he would have been...
Wait, you said he was born in 1990?
He was born in... No, he was born in on this date in 1916. So he would have just been celebrating his birthday. I just thought it was cool.
Oh.
Or like his birthday was
Oh.
Because
it was just his.
Well, actually, here, you want to know what's funny? I thought
64th birthday?
Well, I thought he died on September 13th, 1990.
Uh-huh.
I read it wrong. He was actually born in 1916. He actually died in November of 1990.
You are
So I screwed it up.
like 0 for 17.
But I just wanted to talk about Roald Dahl
stuff.
because it was like super cool. And then for all right, that's my bad. He had a couple of adult. I'm just gonna keep talking about it because it's fun. He had a couple of adult stories that were turned into productions by Alfred Hitchcock 5 different times, including one that starred Steve McQueen. He wrote 2 screenplays, one of which was a James Bond movie, You Only Live Twice.
Wow.
And the British movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
What?
Yeah.
He wrote that?
Yeah, he wrote.
Wow.
He also started adopting his own novel, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, for a movie, but it was bought and rewritten by this guy, David Seltzer, after Dahl failed to meet all of the deadlines.
Wow.
And then got produced under the different name Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Dahl he later disowned the film, saying he was disappointed because he thought it placed too much emphasis on Willy Wonka and not enough on Charlie.
Oh, so he wanted the movie. Well, it should
He
be
wanted
about...
it closer to be about Charlie. So this resulted in him refusing to do any more versions of the book in his lifetime. Like, he had all his ideas for sequels, and he hated the movie so much that he refused
Way to go,
do
Seltzer!
I know. What a jerk.
What?
I know.
Just like true seltzer water, like all sparkles and no flavor.
Anyway, I'm sorry I screwed that up. I actually thought, when I was doing my research the other day, I thought that
Do you want to tell us everybody else who had a birthday on that day from that year, the 1990, like you did with the Oscars?
I hate you.
Our cousin Lance was sick.
Yeah, he was like, you ruined the Oscars. You could have done it later on. I was just talking about which movies.
You just named all the movies from that year and blew your wad.
That was the first episode, by the way.
I know.
Very
We're
first
giving
episode.
you a hard
We're
time.
still figuring it out. Okay, also, I'm just kind of going through the week. There were a couple other cool things. Also on September 13th, wait, is that right? No, hold on a second. September 14th, cool thing in baseball. Only time it's ever happened in Major League history. Any idea? I actually remember this because I was watching that night on ESPN.
Was it when your guy threw a no-hitter and lost?
No, Matt Young. Mariners, Angels. It's about the Mariners.
Was this... Let's see. Was Ken Griffey there yet?
Ken Griffey Jr. was involved.
Inside the park, home run 3 times.
He hit a home run.
That hasn't landed yet.
Well, no, it definitely landed in the outfield.
And he had sex with a girl on first base.
That would be incredible. No, he hit a home run, but it was part of a back-to-back home run situation with
his father.
His father.
No way.
Only time it's ever happened in Major League history. Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. hit back-to-back home runs in the first inning against the Angels in 1990. September.
I didn't realize they were even on the same team.
Yeah, so his dad would play forever, played for the Reds,
Yeah.
played for a bunch of different teams. And then at the end of his career, he played with the Mariners, so he played with his son. Ken Griffey was in his, I want to say, second year in 1990, and they hit back-to-back home runs in the first inning.
Can you imagine being able to hit in the same game as Cage?
Unbelievable. I mean, softball.
That would never happen because we're going to be 60 when he graduates high school.
You're going to be 60.
You are too,
I'm
in spirit.
57. Yeah, it's amazing. It's one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen in sports.
I mean, who are the other father? I mean, like right now, Frank Gore's son is in college.
Yeah,
and
well, I
it's
mean,
possible that he could play.
Possible.
Frank
I mean,
Gore
Frank
continues
Gore
to get picked up.
would have to play at least 3 or 4 more years. I think the one that everyone's hoping is that like LeBron James keeps playing until Bronny gets drafted.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's any doubt that Bronny's going to make it to the NBA barring kind of catastrophic injury or downturn in his career. He's only 15 years old, so he would have to wait it out another 4 years to make it to the NBA if they don't change the rule allowing high schoolers to enter the league. So, LeBron, can he play 4 more years? Yeah, probably. He looks amazing.
Yeah,
he was
great.
he was still a top 3 player this year, and he's age 37. So LeBron would have to play into his 40s to play with Bronny, and then they would have to work it out. I'm sure the NBA will just rig it so the Lakers get the draft pick to take Bronny, but it would have to be some kind of situation where they could play with each other, but most likely it seems like they'll play against each other, which will be amazing. Father playing against son in the NBA, that's incredible.
Yeah, so there hasn't been any other time when, like, a father and son played...
Not that I can recall. Cal Ripken Sr. famously managed the Orioles in the 80s with both of his sons, Cal Jr. and Billy Ripken, played on the same team while their dad was the manager. That was super cool. There's a lot of baseball players who've had fathers who were managers, but not playing in the same game with your son, that is unheard of. and these guys hit back-to-back home runs.
What about Jeter and A-Rod? Because basically, Jeter was always A-Rod's daddy. You know what I'm saying? Cook in school had to hold his hand everywhere.
They played on the same side, of course. You know, A-Rod, much better shortstop than Derek Jeter, volunteered to move to third base if Jeter could play shortstop.
Volunteered. You think New York was upset about 9/11? You imagine how upset they would be if they made Derek Jeter stop being the shortstop so that A-Rod could be? Get the fuck out of here.
Make Jeter move to second base so A-Rod could play shortstop? They probably should have done that.
Oh,
A-Rod was
rioting in Times Square.
An insanely better shortstop.
Get out of here. I never even liked Derek Jeter until A-Rod got to that team. And they were like, A-Rod might be the captain. And I was like, Derek Jeter's the captain of that team. You know, like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, look, A-Rod, you know, I don't like the guy, but he did win a World Series for the Yankees in 2009. And
good for him.
He was a great player for a long time. And a
was.
lot of it was, towards the end, was artificially enhanced. If you haven't seen that documentary about A-Rod and the whole, like,
there is no way
stuff,
I could
it's amazing.
Sit through. I mean, hearing him on Sunday Night Baseball is hard enough. So I cannot sit through him talking for an hour. There's no way. Okay. All right.
Two other things before we get to the one thing I really want to talk about, which is just going to be me talking, because I know you've probably never seen this movie. On September 18th, 1990, a 6-foot-tall, 500-pound Hershey Kiss went on display in Times Square.
Oh. Was it edible? Was it real?
Yeah, totally real.
Is that when the Hershey store opened at Times Square?
No, it was actually, they were debuting, so the Hershey Kiss has been around since 1907, but in 1990 they introduced an almond in the Hershey Kiss. And so they were having this this big stunt in the middle of Times Square to kind of kick it off and kind of have a bunch of fanfare about it. The almond kisses, of course, were wrapped in gold foil to distinguish them from the silver foil of the regular milk chocolate. Let's see. So a spokesman for Hershey said it took 5 years to develop and get these things to be manufactured at their plant in Pennsylvania. Have you ever been to Hershey Park in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Fun time.
Fun time.
Fun time.
Yeah.
I went one time because my dad's family is from Pennsylvania.
I don't know if we went to the park. We just went to the town.
We went to the park, and I don't really remember any of that. The only thing I really remember was going into the store, and then you can take a little tour, and you can watch all the kisses be made. And the kisses are untouched. My thing I always remembered that the kisses are untouched by human hands. So the first human hand to touch the kiss is you opening the wrapper.
Oh, how appropriate for COVID times.
Yeah. Well, this was the 80s.
I know.
But yeah, and so I thought that was super cool.
5 years.
6 foot, 500-pound Hershey Kiss. And by the way, imagining now there's
500 pounds. I'm trying to think. The other one is Shaquille O'Neal, right?
He's 7 foot. 6 foot, 500 pounds. That's a lot. Big friggin' piece of chocolate.
It's a lot of chocolate.
Where did the Hershey Kiss rank for you in terms of the tiny chocolates?
I still think the original Hershey Kiss might be my favorite.
Yeah, they're delicious.
I liked the swirl ones too, the ones that
milk
were
chocolate
white
and white. Okay.
I definitely liked the almond ones.
Okay.
I think the Kiss, it's definitely top 5.
Yeah, the mint ones I thought came out great too.
Gross.
Dark chocolate and mint. Yeah, you don't like chocolate and mint.
I don't like chocolate.
I don't like mint chocolate chip.
No thanks.
Why? Like what?
It's the A-Rod of my baseball team.
Like what went south? What was the bad experience with the mint and chocolate? Because you don't even like mint chocolate chip ice cream. You don't like mint in your hot chocolate. Like and nothing.
No, it's still mint chocolate.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying different types of mint and chocolate together. It's not like you just don't like one thing, but you'll drink another. Like I don't like onions, but I'll eat onion rings. You know what I mean?
Oh right, yeah. No, I like mint and I like chocolate. I do not like them together.
Separation.
There's just something about the combination that tastes like medicine to me.
What?
Yeah, it tastes like cough
syrup.
Cherry
cough syrup.
It tastes like cough syrup. Like it tastes like it tastes like the green NyQuil to me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it has the same feel, like jarring, like gross, like makes my chest hurt.
Was it something as a kid, like?
No, I don't know. It's just like a natural aversion.
Wow, that's too bad.
I just never liked it. I like all kinds of other combinations, you know.
What is your favorite type of chocolate?
My favorite type, well, toffee. So Heath bars were always my favorite.
Heath bar. My mom likes Heath bars.
Yeah. Toffee covered in chocolate was always my favorite, and then a Reese cup.
Reese cup peanut butter, yeah.
Twix.
Caramel. Nougat.
Yeah. You know, I like See's candy, you know, but then like anytime you get one of those boxes and like
it has all
I'd
the
be like,
assorted.
oh my god, there better not be if I got like that.
Okay.
When people would do the Andes, and then they would put Andes.
Oh, Andes! My God, I could
that
get a
was
box of
also
those.
the worst because like at Halloween when people would give you those, and they'd throw them in your bag, and then it touched the other. Then I could taste the mint,
My goodness.
like the essence
Are
of
you
the.
serious?
I swear.
So you're saying someone tossed a handful of like Andes
Not even a handful.
into
You
your
put
bag.
a couple
One,
in there.
just one.
It
Just one
sours
in
it.
your Andes, and then all of a sudden you can't eat M&Ms or Baby Ruth or
I would just have to
whatever
take it out and then like leave them separate for a little bit because it would still linger on
Get
there.
the
I had to
stench
air
of-
it out.
Oh my goodness, that is crazy.
It's not crazy. It's real.
That is crazy. Yeah, you hate mint.
I just
You hate
no.
mint
I
and
love
chocolate.
mint.
Hate mint and chocolate. Sorry, mint and
I
chocolate
love
together.
chocolate. I don't like them together.
Oh, wow. Okay, segue. Also on this day, 1990, Atlanta
I've heard of it.
was chosen to host the 96 Summer Olympics.
Oh. To Atlanta.
Big upset.
You remember-
By the way, big upset.
Wasn't it supposed to be Greece?
Well, yes. It would
Because that would've been
it was the 25th Olympiad, so it was the 100th anniversary of the Olympics, and there was a
Mhm.
big push to have Athens, since they had the first one, obviously.
They
Uh,
did?
Spoiler alert. And so, but they didn't get it. It was
Coca-Cola got
was
it.
Atlanta, yeah, over Athens and Belgrade and Melbourne and Toronto.
Melbourne. Melbourne.
Conspiracy: most of Toronto's votes switched to Atlanta to boost to the victory. Atlanta won 51-35 over Athens.
Yeah, everybody said Coca-Cola bought those Olympics. Probably true.
By the way, totally worth it. That Atlanta Olympics, aside from the whole bombing, which is obviously terrible,
Mhm.
but was a huge hit. I mean,
Huge hit. Very successful.
Yeah, very successful.
I think, I remember like the kayaking and like the water sports and stuff.
It's so
and, like
awesome.
the way that they helped build all those like we had natural water rapids and stuff like that. It was like it was incredible. Like they did such a good job
Yeah.
organizing it. The city became a ghost town that week, which was so fun. Because I think I was like starting college. I was like working in at Six Flags that summer, so like having to drive around Atlanta was like great because there was no traffic because everybody was so afraid of the Olympics.
Yeah,
They wouldn't come close.
The Greece people were pissed.
The Greek.
Yeah, the Greek people. A couple of the quotes here. Money won out over history, someone said.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola won over the Parthenon.
First of all, money went out.
Atlanta spent $25 million on its bid, more than any of the other cities.
First of all, money wins out over history. There's nothing more historical than money. Like money buys everything.
Nice.
Greece, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do in Greece? Like half of that city is crumbling. You can't build anything new.
Yeah.
Everything there is like a zillion.
But we've
years
talked about it
old.
before. Like you went and hung out and like we're all around the city during the
Oh yeah. It was great. It was super organized and lovely. Sometimes older countries like Greece and like I've been to Istanbul, you know what I mean, and like it would be very difficult to host a lot of people. Like it would be very difficult to get everyone in the world to go. I think Americans love Olympics and sports, and we kind of dominate those events. And you want Americans to go. Like that's a big way that you're going to make money off of tickets.
Right.
And so getting people to go to Greece, like the infrastructure in Greece would be very difficult to sustain.
Yeah. They wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would have needed a new airport, subway extensions, highways, and modern telecommunication systems.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Athens officials estimated the city's infrastructure cost at $8 billion. and they just didn't have it. Whereas
Yeah.
Atlanta had all the stadiums,
Yeah.
subways, major airport, and they just could have made it happen, and they did.
And we already had a subway system. Yeah. Tons of roads, tons of hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see it. I mean, the Olympics is coming here in 8 years. I don't know if
Yeah.
we'll still be here, but the Olympics is coming to Los Angeles in 2028, and it's going to be something.
Well, they're already working on it. Like, they're already working
Yeah.
on the train system
Yeah.
to make sure
They have to.
that
They
they
have
have
to
to. They don't have a choice.
But LA obviously has tons of stadiums, tons of hotel space, and once they get the train system down, it'll be the perfect city.
We just got a second soccer stadium.
Yeah, there's 2 soccer stadiums. There's the Rose Bowl. There's the new stadium
Right.
they just built, the Coliseum. We've got it. I don't know if I want to be around for it, but it's going to be cool having the Olympics here.
I mean, anymore, like, obviously, like, people don't drive themselves to these events. Like, they take trains, they take buses, they
Right.
take Ubers. So, anymore, it doesn't really feel like it impedes. And, like, a lot of people leave town whenever a big event
Yeah.
like that is going on.
I think I'll be leaving town.
Okay, sure. You'll be covering it because you'll still be working in sports.
Yeah, probably. Okay, last thing, and this is really just for me. This
Okay.
is self-service for the host. September 19th, 1990, the last day of my week. One of my favorite movies of all time released, Goodfellas.
Oh, Goodfellas.
One of the greatest movies of all time, an absolute Mount
Would you
Rushmore
say-
movie. An absolute Mount Rushmore movie. One of the movies I would take to a desert island. It is just fantastic start to finish.
Do you think it should have been named Great Fellas?
You're stupid. Have you ever seen it, beginning to end?
Not beginning to end, no. How about I'll watch Goodfellas beginning
If I watch
to end?
Titanic, beginning to end?
No, if you watch Law and Order, an episode that I choose.
Just one episode?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great, because that's only like 48 minutes, whereas Goodfellas is like 2.5 hours, so that's a win for me.
Oh no, I'll pick a season finale or something. It's 2 hours.
A season finale is 2.5 hours. I still can't. I just, every time this movie comes on, I always ask you, "Oh, this is great," and you're just like, "Never seen it." I'm like,
It's a
"How have
bro
you never
movie.
seen
It's a
this
dude
movie?"
movie.
It is
Just
a
like
dude
the
movie.
way
It's
that
about
you-
the mafia, but it's still interesting. There's still great characters. There's still, it's Martin Scorsese's best movie. It's Robert De Niro, one of his finest performances. Joe Pesci wins the Oscar. It's like the peak of Ray Liotta's career. Like, everything about it is great. I understand that it's a bro movie, but I just don't know why you can't get into it. Because it has all the things that you like. There's murder and conspiracy, and the government's involved, and there's like, there are tons of shady dudes, and it's funny. It's really hilarious.
It's because the bad guys win. That's why I don't like those movies.
Interesting.
Because there's no moral authority that wins out. Like, good people don't win. And like
they all end up in jail. I mean, Henry Hill, spoiler alert, like he flips and like rats on all of his buddies.
Yeah, I'm saying that, like, I think it's like this glorified lifestyle that I can't connect to because it's not something that I have ever wanted. Whereas
So you
putting
think
someone away who's a dickhead, that feels good.
Interesting.
I think there's like a part of women that like love being detectives because we are, like I say in my act, like we are natural detectives. Like we notice shit all the time that we do. I'm like, why did he sweep the floor? Did he spill something?
Right.
I think women are natural detectives, and so, and like law and order and things that are just and right and like things, so like this idea of like making money by scamming people out of it and, people being upset that they're going to prison for that, like I don't relate to that.
Interesting. I guess I never thought of it that way. So you think that most dudes want to be in the mob, or like think of their buddies as like some sort of crew?
No. I think it's a power thing. I think it's this power that you have by not having to go to any kind of training for. Do you know what I mean? It's like this lazy kind of power. It's like this inherited power that you get from your family. Your family protects you. Men are very into family, and they're very loyal to their families, even if their family is terrible to them. Whereas I think women are more likely to cut you out. And I think that it's the idea of like people being afraid of you.
Okay.
I think that is something that men can relate to. Whereas I think women relate to, I don't care if you're not afraid of me, the law's on my side. You're going to jail, asshole.
Right. Where these people don't care about the law.
No.
Yeah, they just take it into their own hands.
Yeah, so you guys care about power that is based on, weaponry. And I think women care about power based on justice.
That's fair. And it's funny that both...
That made you very quiet.
Well,
I actually haven't really thought about it.
I was just trying to listen to what you were explaining.
I think it's something that's maybe been in the back of my mind that I never really,
Yeah, I was just
explained.
Like I said, I was just trying to listen to you explain it. I mean, it's funny. This is based on a true story. It's written by this book, Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi, and it's about Henry Hill. This was a real guy who just died recently, and who was in this powerful crime family, and then he eventually flipped, went into witness protection, and then when everybody died, he came out. And he was like on Howard Stern all the time, and he became like super famous, like, oh yeah, I'm the guy from Goodfellas, I'm Henry Hill, blah, blah, blah. And like I said, he was always on Stern, which is like super funny. But I mean, these guys are terrible people. It's kind of like why I love Sopranos so much. It's just they're funny because they're so ridiculous, and they don't realize how ridiculous they are.
Well, it's the anti-hero. That's what
but nobody in this
is based on.
Anti-hero. Sopranos for sure, but like Goodfellas, I don't know. None of these guys have any redeeming qualities. They're all scumbags, murderers, and liars, and cheats, and whatever. It's just, it's just a fun movie. Like you said, it's kind of a guy fantasy. To like think that you could be involved and do all of these things, but none of us really could. So you're just kind of living vicariously.
Yeah, I think men grow up having all this responsibility. So watching other men who shirk responsibility and just do whatever the fuck they want is probably very fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun. Obviously there's so many great scenes in this movie, but one of the ones you talk about responsibility, like Henry and Karen had just gotten married, and they lived at Karen's parents' house, and of course Henry was out all night partying with his friends and gambling and doing God knows what, and Karen and her parents are up at night waiting for him to come home. And he walks in the door, and the mom starts just going off like, "Where have you been? What have you been doing?" And Henry just laughs and then leaves. Doesn't give a shit. These guys don't care about anything except themselves and their money and their power.
Well, isn't that a fantasy to be able to get away with something like that?
Yeah, I guess, or just like not care. Not care so much about other people's feelings too.
Right.
Totally.
I totally understand that at being a fantasy. I can understand why men love The Godfather, why men love Goodfellas. And I have no objection to it. It's just not something that I can understand because it's not something that I can, look up to or like get into because it's just like nothing I care about.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Maybe not before next episode, but before a coming episode, we're gonna sit down and watch Goodfellas together. And then you can pick some on-order episodes, and we will sit down and watch those.
I'd like to change it to Titanic.
You're going to change it to Titanic?
Yeah, I think that's more fair. Because we already had this argument about Titanic and The Godfather.
Right.
And so I'd like to change it to Titanic.
Okay, so do you want to watch...
Another movie from the 90s.
Do you want to watch The Godfather, or do you want to watch Goodfellas?
No, whichever one you choose.
Okay, we can watch Goodfellas.
Okay.
Because it's not as long as The Godfather, even though I know Titanic is kind of long. But they're about the same.
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe not next week's episode, but before a future episode.
Cannot have our phones in our hand.
No, we're just going to sit and watch it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to take it in, and then we'll report back.
Yeah.
Fair?
Fair.
Okay.
Do you want to shake on it?
Do you want to shake? I mean, okay, this is us shaking for audio purposes. And
Stop.
Tickle her a little bit. No, I'll do it. My grandfather used to.
No.
No, go ahead.
You already squeezed my hand too tight.
And he'd always
Stop.
Put my knuckles together. My grandfather used to do that to me.
Well, that doesn't mean you would do that to a lady.
Yeah, but I was like a little boy. I think that's even worse.
So? Then you should know better than to do it.
I'm going to teach Cage how to do it. It's important to have a firm handshake. I get complimented all the time.
I do too.
On my
I
handshake.
get a lot of compliments on my handshake.
I haven't shaken anyone's hand in quite some time.
No fear that he's going to have a strong handshake. He already has a very tight grip.
Based on pulling all of your hair out.
Yes.
He just like rips my chest hair.
I know.
It's just terrible.
Wow.
All right, we got to be done here. We got to be done. All right, folks. That's episode 7, September 13th through the 19th. 1990, 2 weeks in a row. So if you can't do 1990, we can't have 3 weeks in a row.
Don't worry, I'm not.
I just thought this was great because I wanted to talk about Law and Order with you.
Thank you. That was so great. Dum dum.
Bum bum.
Dum dum. It's the first one is stronger. Dum dum.
Bum bum. Bum 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 bum. All right, we're getting banned. All right, thanks everybody for listening. Check us out on all the socials at Week in the 90s Pod, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.